Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Global. Now in our previous video, we visited a couple of UNESCO World Heritage Sites within the city of Beijing. Now in this video, we are going to visit a couple of UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the outskirts of Beijing. Now at the end of the video, I'm going to rank all 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites within Beijing and give you my recommendation in terms of which ones you should visit considering you have limited time. Before we start our journey, there's actually a fun story behind these words. The phrase 不到长城非好汉 translates as who has not been to the Great Wall is not a true man, reflecting the idea that one must overcome challenges to achieve greatness. Today behind me is the Great Wall of China, so we better get started immediately. Did you know that the Great Wall of China is not just a single unbroken structure, but a series of walls and fortifications spanning an estimated 21,196 kilometers? It's the longest man-made structure on Earth. But this colossal work is not just about size. Each brick tells a story of Asian China's political, military, and architectural history. So we are now in the Badaling Great Wall. So behind me, as you can see, is the highest point, and that's going to be our target today. Conceived by Emperor Qin Shi Huang in the 3rd century BC, the wall was built to protect against northern invaders. Yet, it was during the Ming Dynasty, a good 1,500 years later, that the wall took on its most famous form. So actually this is my second time in Badaling Great Wall. The first time here was in 1997. At that time it was completely crowded. It was a public holiday. As you can see, even though today is a weekday and the weather isn't really great, it's a bit rainy now, but still there are so many people. Throughout its long existence, the Great Wall of China has witnessed the rise and fall of dynasties. It has seen emperors come and go, and it has stood the test of time, weathering both natural elements and human conflicts. So we are now just about to reach the 3rd. This one was actually quite steep, from the 2nd tower to the 3rd tower. As you walk along the walls, spare a thought for the ancient soldiers who once patrolled its battlements. It's said that they used smoke signals to communicate, creating an ancient version of a communication line across the miles. And here we are at the idiom, meaning the lock and key of the northern gate. It describes the Great Wall of China's role as the critical defensive barrier, protecting the northern frontiers from invaders. So besides walking on the wall, you can also walk off the wall. I mean, as you can see, besides me is the wall. And now I'm walking alongside it. It's a bit cooler here. The Great Wall served not only as a defensive system, but it was also a vital trade route where the Silk Road passed, enabling the exchange of silk, spices, and ideas. I would actually recommend to walk on the wall while you go upwards, and when you come down, you take the sideways. Today, the Great Wall embodies not just a legacy of defense, but a bridge between the past and the present. And now, let's take our journey to the next spot. We are now at the Ming 13 tombs, and behind me is the Ding tomb. Now you might wonder, why would we come to a tomb? To see some dead people? Well, actually, these are not ordinary tombs. These are the tombs of 13 emperors during the Ming Dynasty across more than 200 years. And these tombs are extremely valuable due to their grand architecture as well as the artifacts that has been preserved here. And of course, again, it is a UNESCO World Heritage. So let's have a look. The Ming Dynasty tombs, known as the 13 tombs of Beijing, These imperial mausoleums are the resting place for 13 Ming emperors, along with their 23 empresses and numerous other members of the imperial court. Walking a few minutes and we still haven't really entered the tomb yet. Actually, within the whole 13 tomb scenic area, there are only 5 tombs that are open to public. The reason why we choose Ding Tomb is because this is the only one with the underground palace that is open to public. The Ding Tomb, part of the 13 tombs of the Ming dynasty near Beijing, is the mausoleum of the Wanli Emperor and his 2 empresses. The tomb, which was constructed between 1584 and 1590, spans 180,000 square meters and cost 8 million taels of silver, a sum equivalent to the empire's 2-year tax revenue at that time. So behind me is the coffin of the emperor and empress. So the rear chamber is the main and largest section of the underground palace, measuring 13 meters in length, 9.5 meters in height, and 9 meters in width. It houses 3 coffins, with the central and largest one belonging to the emperor, and the 2 smaller ones on either side for the empresses. Alright, as we wrap up our visit, as expansive as the 13 tombs are, it offers more historical significance than entertainment value. Therefore, I'd say they make for an excellent brief detour en route to the Great Wall. The Jinghang Grand Canal, one of the world's oldest and longest canals, was first constructed for trade and military logistics. It was significantly expanded during the Sui dynasty and stretches over 1,100 miles, linking Yellow River and Yangtze River. This waterway was pivotal for economic and military purposes throughout Asian China and still remains a vital cultural and historical symbol today. Now behind me is the Beijing Grand Canal scenic area. Unfortunately, due to the bad weather today, we won't go inside, but we will talk about Grand Canal, its 1,000-year history, and why it is so amazing that it is included now in the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Beijing is located at the northernmost end of the Grand Canal. For thousands of years, the waterway has accumulated a profound cultural heritage and has witnessed the city's rise from emperor capital of modern metropolises. Visitors can explore the Jishuitan port for an introduction to the canal's history and sightseeing tips. Marvel at the ancient architectural wonders, like the Great Wall and Forbidden City. Enjoy the natural beauty of Beihai Park and delve into the rich canal heritage at the China Beijing Hangzhou Grand Canal Museum. Now today we are at Zhoukoudian, probably one of the least well-known UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Beijing, unless you are very familiar with archaeology or history. Now there are 2 parts of this site. The first part is the museum and the second part is the archaeology site. So I would highly recommend to visit the museum first before visiting the archaeology site. Zhoukoudian is an archaeological site near Beijing, known for the discovery of the largest collection of Homo erectus fossils, commonly referred to as Pekingman, found within lost-filled clefts in a limestone cliff that date back more than 770,000 years ago and provide significant insights into human evolution. In 1918, Swedish scientist Johan Gunnar Andersson discovered rodent fossils in Zhoukoudian. This led to further excavations with Austrian paleontologist Otto Zdansky in 1921, resulting in the first discovery of hominid remains at the site. Now behind me is the evolvement of Peking Men. So what's Peking Men's physical characteristic? According to studies, they had a brain size of about 1030 cc, prominent brow ridges, a flat face, and heavy jaws with larger teeth. Shorter in stature, they were adept tool users and possibly among the first to use fire. Their adaptations for a colder climate and evidence of social living marked them as an intermediate evolutionary step towards modern humans. The upper cave holds treasures of our ancestors with relics and bones that speak of human existence from tens of thousands of years ago. Compared to the one we mentioned before, upper cave folks had rounder heads, slighter brows, and brains on par with ours. Their chompers were pretty modern, if a bit old school in style, and they were built lighter than earlier humans. Basically, they were a lot like us, just living it up in the Paleolithic. So this hall is mainly for kids to understand the concept of Peking Men through interactive games and experiences. Now here is a simulative archaeology site where kids can learn how the archaeologists work. So here it's not only an archaeology site but also a very nice park where you can enjoy the nature, have a deep breath, and enjoy your time with family. Behind me is the first skull cap of Peking Men that was discovered in this archaeology site. So, according to archaeologists, Peking Men have been living here for between 700,000 years ago to 200,000 years ago. And that concludes our visit to the Zhoukoudian Peking Men site, where we've glimpsed into the lives of our ancient ancestors. We've explored their homes, their tools, and the remains of their fires. As promised, here is the recommendation list for you. I would highly recommend the Forbidden City, Temple of Heaven, Summer Palace, and of course, the Great Wall of China. These are also highly popular tourist attractions, so you should book them online as soon as possible. The Ming 13 tombs are close to the Great Wall, so you can combine the trip if you still have time on that day. While the Peking Men site is really far away from the city, so I would not recommend it unless you are really into archaeology. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the last two episodes of Beijing's UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Let me know your thoughts below. Where would you like to see the next? And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more journeys. Here at Glopen, we inspire learning, exchange, and business. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.